Welcome, everybody. This is the contributor technical discussion for April 30th, 2025. I'm Nathan Toops. I'm stepping in for Nemanja today to be the MC, but it looks like we've got some demos and some discussions, and I'll let the community sort of take the reins. So anyway, happy to dive in to demos first if we want to, and we can just go ahead and address this from top to bottom. So is there somebody from Samourai that wants to?
Yeah. So I will introduce a new mate that is from Samourai crew and that's never been in the call before. So Thomas, I don't know if you're here.
Hey.
Yeah. So basically, Thomas is leading the Zenao project. To give a bit of context, you can share your screen if you want, Thomas.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing on my side. There you go.
Just to remind the context for Zenao, Zenao is a project that is built by Samourai crew and the Web2 team. The goal is to build a kind of ticketing and event platform based on both Gno but also DAO kit that we built during last months and years. And the goal is to make something that is perfectly fitting with our ERL events, so concerts and cinema things, etc. So it's early because this project is like small for us, but we are now at near the V1, I would say, between alpha and beta. So Thomas, I give you the lead.
Yes. Okay. So hi everyone. Happy to be here. So let me tell you about like what we've been doing so far on Zenao. So as Antoine said, it's basically an event ticketing system. So you're able to create different events with different capacities, and everything will be recorded on the Gno blockchain. And so as we see, we already created some different events to show you how it's going. So you have like the possibility to create your events, add your specific URLs location, which can be virtual, as for this example for the call, or located based events, add different description, etc. And what's an important feature that we included is to be able to have a feed where the participant, the organizer, is able to share different informations on the about these events. So for example, here we have already a few comments, a few posts, and polls. I can create a new one. Have a good day, everyone, which will be recorded. And yes, here it is. You're also able to react on these different posts and create also different polls where you're able to vote. For example, here, when we were working on the demo and the deployment, exactly, you're able to do that. So what's interesting also is that concretely the website, the front end of the Zenao that we have currently here is just a wrapper of what we can see on the blockchain. So basically, if you go on, we're able to see and share this information on the web directly. For example, for the feeds, here are the formats that we decided to do for the different posts that we made, and you're able to see also the different events.
We only see your Zenao screen and not the Gno web part.
Good to see. Yep. Yes. So here, for example, this is like the format for the event directly on Gno web, where you can see the list of the participants, the events, the location, well, all the different informations, but like in the style of Gno web. So yes, maybe Yeah, exactly. Maybe Norman or
I think you already got a question regarding post message and gas, I guess. So basically, the state is currently we run our own chain, which is called Zenao chain on fly.io. So the goal is to go fast and iterate fastly, etc., and be ready for mainnet, of course. Maybe just to have the complementary information. So the goal of this project was also to test our DAO kit and to identify some needs on the specific cases. So it triggered some new works for Michael, who built DAO kit, and some like improvements are emerging. Like basically, we'll need to clean a bit the DAO kit. It's clean on Zenao, but not pushed on Gno repo. So we will do it as soon as possible. And also, our next steps will be to create some packages, both for like kind of templates for DAOs. As first example, we decided to choose Samourai Cup because we are a cooperative company and we have like specific governance design. So it will be a first template, but it's only the first, and then we'll be able to create a kind of I don't know, startup governance, etc. And the second thing is we'll also try to create some kind of modular approach, like for example, payroll packages, payroll package, or anything that can be relevant to be added in the DAO kit.
Hey, are the DAOs related to Common DAO? I don't know if you're aware of what the DevX team had been building with Common DAO.
It's not directly related because I think they didn't. Basically, we presented already the DAO kit a few weeks ago, even months ago, I think. But we didn't have like interactions with their code, or we didn't have the. I think maybe Mikhail had some reviews on. No, sorry, it was GovDAO, so not Common DAO. So no, we never had any interactions with them yet.
Okay.
But I think Common DAO doesn't fit what we need, because we have a different system than just threshold voting. We have on every action that's possible to do, there is a different condition, which is not always a member's threshold voting. For example, it can be for the people that is scanning tickets at the entry, he only has a gatekeeper role and can only call the check-in function on the realm that will verify the ticket with cryptography and stuff like that. So it's not. It's more complex than Common DAO, I think.
Yeah, it'd be good to see what the differences are. I think Common DAO might also have members with roles, but it's been a while. Yeah.
I just dropped some sources in the chat for those who are interested to discuss it.
Cool. Thank you.
I think we're good.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oker shared, I think it's a Common DAO one. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for that demo. Okay, so we'll move on to the second demo. It looks like we have a work in process interapp link. Is Louis on the call?
Yes.
Excellent.
Finish
Oh,
share, ready to share,
yeah, go for it.
sharing. Okay. So we have a previous working on inter-app communications. So two apps inside the same mobile phone. When the first app calls Gno Key Mobile and pass a bunch of information, and you can approve and broadcast or just return the signed transaction to this callback that was previously received by this protocol of communication, inter-app communication. But now we wanted to move forward and start to support the links generated by this guy, txlink.no, Manfred's work, and this work in progress that we just open this link and grab a bunch of information. But there's not much information because it's a simple protocol of communication, just parameters and the function that you want to execute and the money. But the idea is to also use the Gnodocs to extract the more data from each function and render the parameters here below and dynamically rendered according to the type of the parameters. The idea was we'll also sign and broadcast or execute the as you see here in the top, the smart contract passing the correct parameters already validated. So work in progress. One thing that we notice is working with this universal link on GNOWeb. We will need to hack GNOWeb, not hack, but improve it a little bit to have this URL exposed, well known, where it will allows this app to communicate to create a link between the browser and the app inside the mobile phone. So basically iOS verification that will verify if you associate the app with the browser or that URL, a specific URL, and will create a seamlessly link between the browser and the app. So we'll probably open this pull requests to probably Guilherme to see how we can handle this. It's pretty much the same that we have as the status.json, but this is dynamically, and this will be static. And I think that's it.
Thank you so much. Any questions from that from the group? If not, we will head on to discussions. And it looks like Jeff posed a question that says, what does an average GNO developer need to know about the inter-realm ownership?
Yeah, thanks. I assume this is an obvious question. Know is that if you know Go, then you can write smart contracts. And I've been following the changes that handle the issues having to do with inter-realm ownership of objects. I love the details of all this, but of course, I'm trying to keep the position of someone who's not someone who has been neck deep in Ethereum and smart contracts for 10 years. And just coming to the project, it's not clear to me what the problem that this complexity is trying to solve. And do I need to worry about it? Like Go as a language made a decision a long time ago to be a garbage collected language, not a reference counting language. And they made a lot of really awesome improvements in the garbage collector. But to write Go code, you don't need to know what's happening in the garbage collector. And I wonder if this inter-realm ownership is going to be the same way. If you want to write a realm like we did for dsocial, do you have to understand everything about everything to write your realm code? Or can you just write your own code and the language will prevent bad things from happening? And if you want to do something fancy like transfer an object ownership from one realm to another, then that's when you need to read all the documentation. But short of reading all the documentation, you don't need to do it. The reason I'm worried is after the latest changes, our code we wrote for desocial is broken. And it seems like most code is broken. That's why all the CI checks fail. So I wonder whether there is a focus on making things simple and just work by default. And if you want to do something fancy, then that's when you need to study what causes something to be owned by one realm versus the other and persisted here and the other and cross over and have access. But, you know, I love this stuff. I could study it, but I say average Gno developer because it's not clear that an average Gno developer can move forward now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you need to know more than just Go. You also have to know the inter-realm spec. There's been some updates to have you seen the inter-realm spec?
I did read, so I you know, this highlighted link is the recent PR, and I clicked into the issue and I clicked into the Google Doc.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. But what I meant specifically about the doc is there's another section on usage that was just added like 2 days ago or yesterday. I don't know.
Here in the description of this PR?
No. I'll paste the link. It's right there. It's a section of the document on usage.
Nathan, if you jump in again, there was a click to an issue.
I'm pulling it up. Well, I'm going to pull up
the
I'll pull up what Jay just brought. This is a very useful document. I highly recommend checking it out, by the way.
It's right here. It's usage. Yeah. And okay. So developers need to know that. And that's a lot easier to understand than the thing on top of it. The thing on top is more like the raw spec, and usage shows how to use it. There was a discussion the other day about like why we need this. Well, not specifically why, but an analogy. So the idea is, you know, the Gno VM is not. I mean, or the Gno language itself, right? And now with this change, is very specifically a multi-user language, where the program, meaning, for example, Gnoland is one program, is shared, time shared, you know, shared with access controls and everything else among the users. So it's really unique. Even the operating system. So like, I guess the most similar thing would be like an operating system or like Linux or Unix that came before it, right? And we needed time sharing in Linux and Unix because computers were expensive, and you know, they needed to be time shared across multiple people. So, but even there, the user programs themselves don't talk to each other. They talk to each other through pipes with bytes, right? But so user-to-user programs talk to each other through pipes, but the user programs talk to the kernel through syscalls. So it's like the syscalls are like this crossing function, but there is no crossing between users. So the Gno VM is actually going back to the roots of being a multi-user operating system, except there's full interoperability among all user programs because they're all the same level. So you have to cross into each of them. That's one. I want to go through some of the things here. I think it would be good to just talk about briefly.
Can I ask a stupid question? Because, you know, I I'm not a newbie. I don't understand the problem, or maybe from a security point of view, I don't understand the risk that this complexity is solving. Is it about who pays gas, or is it about which realm persists the objects?
It's less about which realm persists the objects. So it's like, you know, where something is stored is it kind of matters less. It's really okay. So here's a big problem. There are two big problems.
It was about who can call a function which will change the state of a realm.
No, no, that you can code yourself, right?
Okay.
Access yourself. But there are two big problems with the previous spec. And the first one is that, you know, like code that's in P packages should behave identically even when it's declared in your R realm, you know, because people will copy code and people will want to publish code in R realms before they publish things in P because P is more permanent, and so on. But in the previous model, that wasn't the case, because code that's declared in P code would all be crossing when they're copied over to realms. So that could be a cause for bugs and exploits. But now they're identical. It doesn't matter what they're declared. You know, I think in going into the usage, we'll clarify some of that. But the other thing is there's this reentrancy issue. So, you know, like realms provide a service, right? And generally users consume those services, or other realms consume a realm service. But sometimes a realm will end up consuming its own service. An example would be like, imagine a loan packaging service. It takes as arguments a bunch of loans, and then it returns a loan. But an external user could hook things up so that the loan produced by this package realm is put in as input to itself. So it's packaging its realm that it created itself. And then what could happen is an unexpected behavior emerges because you're not crossing a realm when you thought you would. So you might end up sending money to the wrong person. And that is, you know, it's sort of like the reentrancy bug. So I guess it's different than Ethereum, but it's like a subtle bug, and it's not something that's going to be caught unless the language helps you type check the thing. So the purpose of the cross function, and to require explicitly crossing, is to prevent that. So an example would be, as you're developing package loan, you would cross into a loan, and when so, you know, as you're developing, you would be expecting external realms to, you know, import and whatever, pass something in like a loan, and then your package loan realm would cross into it every time because it's as designed. And then when you pass in your own thing, you would also cross into that. So you know, it would catch that bug for you. So that's why the cross should be explicit. And then crossing, well, I guess it's not just type checking. It is changing behavior of that function. Yeah.
What doesn't work if you don't use crossing, and what will work if you do use it?
In the new model?
Yeah. You talk about passing funds. Is that what this is about? Controlling whether maybe funds that are passed in the sent parameter of a transaction call will or won't be able to be spent by another realm?
The problem was with the implicit realm boundary derivation, right? Before, it was the case that you just look at your function stack, and the current realm is the current realm, but the previous realm is always a different realm, right? That's just how it was defined. But that's incompatible with the 2 points I mentioned, because sometimes like when you consume, when a realm consumes itself. So, for example, offers a package loan object that gets put in as an argument when usually you would expect an external object to be passed in there. In that case, there would be no realm boundary where there should be. But explicitly calling cross ensures that, you know, there is a boundary, and even if the previous realm and the current realm are the same.
You know, I'm taking a risk here at exposing that maybe I'm just an idiot, but I still don't understand what crosses what. And I imagine that other average developers who have had my similar experience in programming won't get it.
What crosses what? Like what does it mean to cross?
Yeah, what is it? Ownership of an object? Is it who pays for it? Is it who can spend the money on it? Is it who stores it? What crosses what?
You know how, like, when as the call stack, there's a new item in the stack. If there's a change in realm, then there's a realm boundary, and that defines when current realm gets shifted over to previous realm.
I guess my stupid question is I don't understand. What does it matter what the current realm is or previous realm? What does that control? Who gets to store objects? Does that control who gets to?
Okay, well, the current realm, previous realm is used for primarily for coins. So the realm's coins. Yeah. So if you don't,
the realm has coins, and if you don't control it properly, then somebody else can get another realm to spend its own coins.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one. Another one that's not currently in master, but needs to be fixed is panics. When a panic crosses a boundary, the whole transaction should fail. So you shouldn't be able to catch and recover from a panic that crosses a realm boundary.
Okay, this is helping a lot. Thanks. So I'm thinking about desocial, which is really a fork of the boards realm, which everybody's familiar with, and I'm trying to think about what it means that maybe the boards realm doesn't have its own coins. That it doesn't own its own coins. So maybe the use case I'm thinking of, I'm not familiar with. Maybe I haven't thought enough about the. I understand that the board is that a realm itself has an address, and you can send coins to the address.
I'm sorry. You were right about storage. The current realm can also, it depends on the context, but you can't generally just modify another realm's data.
Not directly. You should have to call a public function and pay for it, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's when cross comes into play, right? So now, since not all functions are by default crossing, in order for your function to be able to modify your own realm, it should be crossing.
So, I mean, like, again, the boards realm has something like post message. And when you call post message, the result is it updates the persistent storage of the list of messages.
Right.
So if another realm calls post message on the board's realm, you're saying that there
It has
is potential risks there somehow.
Well, it's not a risk with the spec, but you know, and before it was kind of, that part was automatic because, you know, anything that your realm, right, any function declared in your realm was automatically crossing. But
Crossing
now
means that some other realm can call the function and make it behave as if it's being done by the target realm.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But now you have to cross. Now you have to declare explicitly that's its crossing function, and just like before, you know, when you have one public, you know, top level realm function call another top level realm function in the same realm, that was okay. Obviously, it's in the same realm. Yeah, it's the same is true for crossing functions. So if you're already in that realm and you call another function that's also a crossing function, it does nothing. You're still in the same realm. So you don't actually cross in that case.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't want to take up the whole call. I'm getting some more clarity here, but I imagine any mere mortal will be having the same trouble I'm having following.
Yeah, it's definitely a little confusing to switch from one system to another. I think it's probably easier if you just learn this from the start.
I would imagine that, suppose I write a realm which makes use of the board's realm. The board's realm is simply, it's got a bunch of boards and you can post a message. No problem. Easy. And I have another board which is, I don't know, advertise my apartment, right? And I advertise it by, in my realm, advertise my apartment calls the board's realm to post a message. I would imagine that my realm can call boards.postMessage, and the gas for that storage will be paid by whoever called my realm function. And since it's a public function on post message, then the board's realm will store that message in its own data structure, paid for by whoever called my realm. Is that not how it works?
Well, now you can declare functions that don't cross realms if they're not crossing. So you can define utility functions that don't modify your realm. You can define any function that doesn't cross. So you can provide a lot of libraries that anyone can use that doesn't actually cross. Anything that's declared in a P package,
yeah,
those are all non-crossing. So
that makes complete sense to me. I understand that. But if there's something in the R realms, which like there's typically the render functions, you know, there's a bunch of, you know, like the boards has a, you know, right, render post, but that doesn't attempt to update any persistent object. So
in that case, yeah, typically render functions are not crossing, but sometimes it might call something that is crossing. Another thing that's not crossing typically are methods. So let's see. So any method declared in a P package, and because it's a P package, would not be crossing. And likewise, when you copy them over to an R realm, you know, they should not be crossing. But methods are special in GNO. They're not like Go methods that are a lot like just any function. Methods are special because there is an implicit crossing without you having to declare cross or having to cross. So neither cross nor crossing are needed for methods. You borrow the realm of the receiver's storage realm. So what that means is it typically an object, a type with methods declared in an R realm, it generally shouldn't have crossing methods unless it needs it, and anyone can use them.
Well, in Go, that's typically handled by having them be private functions, right? With a lowercase letter.
Yeah, but you know, they can be public. We're talking about public methods.
Yeah.
So
you're saying you can another realm can somehow get a handle on the object which is stored in another realm, and then call a method which modifies that object.
Yeah.
And you want to control who can do that.
No, you don't need to. Generally, you don't need to for objects with methods, because it's just they're not crossing, and you know. But what it does mean is that
But not crossing, does that mean read only? I understand they updated, for example, our demo users or whatever, so that you get a user object, which is very nice. You just get a pointer to this object, but you can't modify that object if you're another realm.
No, you can modify it as long as you're calling a method. Right. So as long as it's the functionality of modification is exposed by the method, you can modify it. What this means is a realm could publish an object with methods, a type of methods that is intended to be used by the user, or by another realm, could be, or a user, to handle common routines that you would do with current realm. So with your money. So another realm could publish an object that is meant to help you manage your money. Which was always the case, which is always the case with things declared in P. They can always help you, if they just use current realm. And now a realm can do the same thing.
Okay, I know that the Gno team is working on documentation here. I don't want to take up the whole call. Maybe there's just a background where to the people working on it, it's obvious what the word cross means. It's not obvious to me. And if the documentation starts right away with using the word cross as if it's obvious what it means, it's not obvious to me. It sounds like you're talking about read-only versus mutable or something.
It's everything before, where one realm was calling another realm. That's a cross. They're crossing realm boundaries. So everything about that is what crossing is, except it's not automatic, but explicitly declared. Like a language can be typed or untyped, right? So Gno is typed with regards to realm crossing.
But going back to Go, if I import a package and I call that package's functions, there's no magic. There's no distinction.
That's because Go, in all programming languages, almost all of them, I imagine there are some that do this, are for a single user.
So, and a different user means different privilege, or different who pays for it, or what is it? What is different about a different user?
Meaning, as in like a Linux user. Yeah, different permissions.
Different permissions.
Yeah, read write, right? But also different, I don't know, environment variables, right? Different amount of coins, I guess, but that's not. Yeah.
Well, I certainly can understand different users having different access rights, you know, read only or read write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so read. Yeah, that is a big part of it. Read only, read write. If you're not, let's see. I mean, yeah. You couldn't. I mean, you could. I suppose you could get rid of cross and crossing, and well, you can't get rid of cross now, right? Because we want that cross to be explicit, right? We can maybe, or I guess you can get rid of crossing, technically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's not even true because now the behavior is different, whether it's crossing or not.
I guess I still don't have a use case in mind about something that would be a problem that adding this crossing behavior fixes. What is the danger?
What we just went over too. The first, the big two, copying P code over to our code should have the same behavior. Otherwise, it's confusing.
That makes complete. But P code is just, I don't know. In functional programming, they're just non-destructive functions. They just you pass in data, and it passes you back something else that's been modified. It's pure code, right? P for pure is the way I think about it.
In a sense, but you can declare things, objects with methods. Those things should also, it shouldn't matter whether those things are declared in a P package or an R realm.
But the P code doesn't store the object, so any object which P code deals with is passed in by the caller.
No, a realm can import a P package and use its object and store it in its own realm or this realm. So before, yeah, let's see.
I guess I didn't. So I guess I've been I don't think of any P code as having global storage, but maybe that's a mistake.
Well, it doesn't have global storage. I'm talking about when when it is stored in a realm or passed around.
Yeah. So P code just has a bunch of functions that take an argument, manipulate it, and return it.
It can do more. It can have a declared type with methods, and those objects can be stored or passed around in a realm or between realms.
Yeah, and I would assume that whatever realm creates that object and owns it would own it.
Well, that wasn't necessarily the case before anyways, because a P package object could be passed before it was finalized and stored in a realm and actually be stored in another realm. You could pass a new object to a new realm, and it's not even clear who owns it.
Okay. But that makes sense to me. If there's not clear who owns it, which means it's not clear who pays to store it, basically.
Yeah, but also, the behavior of current realm and previous realm, which matters a lot in terms of who pays for things, right? Or, who has access to what treasury. I guess before, it was the case that it matters a lot where an object is stored when it calls current realm. Now it matters a whole lot less.
Okay.
So what it means is, whether this is different, right? Whether an object with methods that calls standard, current realm, is declared in the P package or any realm, it doesn't matter. It's got the same behavior. It doesn't even matter where it's stored in terms of, you know, what realm is the current realm. Because
That sounds good.
yeah, because it's not crossing. It only the current realm shifts to the previous realm only when you cross.
I guess I'm just imagining in the documentation for this, you know, here's a 10-line GNO program which doesn't work because it's trying to do something which is forbidden. And then here's the point where you add this crossing thing to make it work. I can't visualize that 10-line piece of code in my head right now. And that's what I'm imagining your average, you know, idiot like me would want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has helped me a lot. You know, I imagine people want to go home. I don't want to take up the whole time, but Christoph has given the thumbs up. Yeah, I understand that you've updated the language so that some things which should work now work, and things which shouldn't work now don't work, which I appreciate. Yeah, and you know, after the latest changes, we have a bunch of code that we wrote for dsocial, and when I try to load it in the latest GNO dev, there's a bunch of errors, right? So I'm waiting for the latest PR to make the CI checks pass, which I assume will provide me with some insights into small changes we need to make to our code so that we can load it.
There's let's see. There's the Meta 1 PR, which was merged.
4060, I think. I think that's what I linked in the HackMD that we're looking at right now.
And then there's 4211. I think that's Meta 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fixing a bunch of things.
Yeah.
So that the CI checks pass. Yeah.
Yeah. So Meta 2's getting there. Manfred and Guillaume is working on it right now. But you can take a look at some of the actual commits. If you look at the latest commits from me, they're changing the examples.
Okay.
To make the test pass, and there's a lot of conversions from like previous realm to current realm, and so on.
Okay,
So,
I'll take a look. That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I saw a blank discussion section, so I added a question.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Is there any other questions or items that we want to cover? We got a couple more minutes. Otherwise, I can give you some time back. Well, great. Really appreciate everybody. Those demos were great. Great discussion, Jeff. Thanks for being the catalyst for that. I think, you know, sometimes people have questions that they don't express, so it's really nice to get those.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye.